Hello everyone, this is Jeff Little, and I've got a tutorial I'm going to go through with you on Master Repackager and Master Packager. So here we have Master Repackager up and running, and we are going to try to capture an MSI from an exe installer. I created an exe installer, and it does a couple registry entries and a file copy and a folder creation. And you can actually do this manually, or you can run a setup.exe, for example. As long as the setup.exe doesn't also have an MSI in it, you're good to go. So it actually captures anything that we do to the system. Before we start, if you click on the settings button, you can see that we have settings that we can go through, and I wanted to show you the file exclusion. You see the file exclusions XML and the registry exclusions XML. You can see where they're located. Let's see programs, files, x86 Master Packager, and then Master Packager exclusions. So anyway, you can back those up if you wanted to back them up. And one reason you might want to back them up, because if you go to exclusions on the left here, you can see that XML contains, on the files, for example, all these different files have ability to have them excluded at capture. And this one, for example, quick launch, is not excluded. Not everything's, this is default, so you can change it as you go. And that's why I said maybe back up the first one and call it original. And if you find another file path that you wanted to exclude, you could put it here at the very bottom, type it in, save, do it in the same format. Registry, you can see that go all the way to the bottom, do the same thing. So if you capture something, for example, like a TCP/IP change that you don't want captured, then you would include it here and then hit save. So anyway, so the first thing we'll do is make our first snapshot, and we'll do that and come back. Okay, we're back, and the first snapshot creation was successful, so you hit OK, and that may have taken a couple minutes. So now we can make the system changes. System changes will be the exe I was talking about. And I've got an exe, I have one that we can actually execute, and it does our changes for us. So you could consider this an install exe, for example. And it's very simple. Okay, now we go verify that it actually created what we wanted it to. So under C, program files, MSI test folder is created, and it copied in a text file. I'll leave that open. And we'll go to the registry. I've already saved where I know these are, so we need to refresh. Now you can see test MSI 1 is created, and it created an entry there that's under the current user. And go to the local machine. It did the same thing, created a test MSI 1 and created it in the local machine. So we've got those two things created. We generally do not want to capture current user settings inside of an MSI, but we'll leave it, and I'll show you how to duplicate it with custom actions. That's another step. We'll do this first. We'll just make this simple MSI and get that to work. So we've done the changes. We also want to do a shortcut. Okay, now we'll create the shortcut. Actually create a couple of them. Create one on the desktop, for example. New shortcut. Let's see. We need to find that text file. So we grab the path, paste it in the shortcut line where it's asking for the location, put a backslash, choose MSI test text, hit next. You can remove the text in the dot, just call it MSI1 test, for example, finish. Okay, so we have it. Let's do the first one. Put it in start menu programs. So right click, copy, and I'm going to change the icon here. The icon was copied to the program files MSI test folder, so hit that. OK everything. And you'll see the icon change. Now we want to copy it to public desktop, but since desktop is the same location basically as this MSI test, we don't want two of them here. When I say same location, you'll end up, it's on your desktop, so you'll have it one here in the public desktop, and you'll have one on your actual current user desktop. So I'm going to right click, move. I'm going to move it. Hit continue. Right click, properties, do the same thing with the icon, change it. Browse, hit OK, open, OK. Okay, now you see it's on the desktop. Everything's good to go. Make changes, second snapshot, so you click I am done making system changes, click next. Start second snapshot. Okay, we'll be back when that is done. Okay, as you notice, the snapshot creation was successful, so you hit OK. And it brings you to cleanup, so you can manage files and manage registry entries. So let's click on Manage Files and see if anything that was captured that shouldn't have been captured. So just go through each one. MSI test folder, that looks good. Icon, text file, program data, should be, let's see, Microsoft, the Edge update, of course it excluded, excuse me, and you can include if you wanted it. Windows, start menu, it's all under program data, so there's our link there. Reg ID, let's get rid of that one, exclude. Got a few other things in here. Users, again, that's public, so public is fine. We want the public one to be captured. If it's under my user, of course we don't want that captured. Windows, let's see, that wasn't part of my package, so we exclude that one. If we miss anything, we can catch it later in Master Packager. So we're in Master Repackager now. So the next thing we do is hit done. And we can manage the registries. So let's go to HKey current user. Again, we usually don't want this captured, but I'm going to leave it. Let's see, Windows, current version, yep, desktop, Spotlight, don't want that. Exclude. So start. What is this? The only thing I want is that test MSI. So under this Microsoft, We'll just get rid of all that, exclude, see what it does. There it goes, get rid of all that. Now we just have test MSI. So we're good to go. Local machine, classes. We'll go ahead and exclude. Let's see, what else do we have? I think it's all good. Easier to read in Master Packager. This is not as easy to read. So hit done. Next, it goes to build. And we'll be back and we'll build the MSI. Okay, we're back. We're at MSI package type on the build function. So product name, there is no product name, so we can go MSI 1. Let's just do whatever we want. MSI test version 1 manufacturer. We can type in test company. Test company. Build cab inside MSI. Let's go ahead and build. And you can see where it's going to save it. You can build an MSI X, but that's another tutorial. Okay, so it looked like it built the MSI. Let's open it with Master Packager. It's just open. Well, let me. Okay, we have general information, product code, install directory. I'm going to go ahead and choose the install directory since it didn't default to one. We'll choose the MSI test folder. And you can put other information in here if you want. Let's say you don't want to display the remove button or the repair button, for example. UAC required. This is definitely going to be a system install, not a current user type install. Platform 64-bit. Let's go to the files real quick and we'll double check ourselves. So I've got two files here, program x86 000, everything's 0 here. Let's go to the registry. Again, we normally don't want to include the current user registry because during the system install done through Intune, SCCM, etc., this will not get installed normally unless you do it as a user-based install, which we're unfortunately copying things to HKey local machine and protected areas of the file system. So that needs to be done with system account. So the software looks, we caught that. Let's see, it's registry, so that's good. We only had 2 entries is what we wanted. Shortcuts, looks like our shortcuts showed up okay. And we have one custom action in the public folder, and that was done automatically. And you can set your properties here if you want. Reboot, really suppress, root drive C, install level. Let's see what else we got. all users 1. Now we'll come back and take care of the current user file, let's see, the registry that we talked about. We'll come back and take care of that, and we'll also include a current user file. But let's just save this, and we'll test it and come back. Okay, we're back. Let's go find the MSI, and we'll test it. Under MRP, let's see, our latest one was here. So let's do a system account install. PSExec. This is the tool that I use to simulate system account. Right click, run as administrator. So I ran GUI front end exe. So I removed the backslashes, run in system account, interact with desktop, and I will do CMD. So we'll run a command line. Okay, so here's my command line that's running as admin and system. So we go cd Let's double check the repack ends in 24. So it's going to be 14 ends in 24. That one. And now we want to go MSI EXEC /I and tab. Choose your MSI. Then we want to do a log file, for example, so /L asterisk V for both, and just type, if you want it to be in the same directory, that's fine. Just type a name, see MSI test.log, and we can do passive for fun. Actually, let's not do passive. We want to make sure it installs correctly, and we'll be able to catch errors easier if we see everything. It looked like it went through, so it created a shortcut. I saw that. Let's see if the shortcut shows up. Yep, MSI test. Open it. Opens up a text file, so that's great. That works. We also want to verify the registry, so let's refresh. What I had done earlier is cleaned up the machine since we didn't have that much to clean up. So it didn't do the current user registry, and we know it won't because of the running a system account. So it did do the local machine, test MSI 1, so that's great. And the reason I left that registry entry in master packager is so we can go back and do some tricks, and I'll show you the trick. So let's call this good to go, and we'll come back and do the more advanced stuff like the current user entries, and we'll do the registry, and we'll do a file for all current users. And this looks good. The only thing you really want to test is actually installing and uninstalling first and making sure you don't have errors, and that's why you do a log file. So let me show you that real quick. So where the MSI was, since we didn't give it a path for the log file, it created a log file here. You can scroll all the way to the bottom and you see a 0, which is fine. But one thing that we can do is, while we're here, hit the up arrow key, scroll back to where the I is and put an X. And that's for uninstalling. Let's see what happens. Yes, we want to uninstall, so it should have cleaned everything up. So it took our registry entry away. Program files, our folder is missing, so that's good. So let's pause the video and we'll be back to do the more complex items like the current user settings. Okay, so we'll do the current user settings and we'll take the registry one first. So we'll open up Master Packager, have our MSI already loaded up. Let's go back to the registry settings. You can see this is our registry setting. Right click, export registry. And that's where I would save it, CU. So I saved it there. Now we can delete it from here. So now our actual structure for the registry doesn't include any current user, but we do want to include that registry entry for all users. The only thing that the registry function won't do with the custom action is it will not do it for new users, which I can live with that, because the other option is to create an active setup, which is not a part of this tutorial, but I've been using active setup for 15 years. So you have predefined actions. Click on add predefined actions. You can apply H key current user registry entries for all users to all users. Browse H key user reg file. So we'll browse to our reg file, click it, open, and you can see it imported our registry file. And it shows up here as that's a part of the Master Packager one. This is our set property. The only issue I've ever had is synchronous waits for exit code. If you have a package that fails and it shows in the log file that a custom action has caused the failure, that's one reason why you don't want to put 5 or 6 custom actions in, then save and then test. You most likely want to do one at a time so you can figure out if one is failing. I've had to change this before to asynchronous ignore exit code, because the way it's set now, synchronous, when it comes to the custom action, the complete MSI Windows installer process will stop, wait for this custom action to finish, wait for an exit code, and then move on. And to me, this setting can be critical. If it's critical, then you may want to consider an active setup instead of doing this. But this has worked great in the past in my testing, so feel free to use it. Hit close. And file, save. And we'll run it as system account. We already have the window set up for system account. So we'll go change the X to I. And by the way, when this goes up on YouTube, you can choose the YouTube function to actually slow the file down, the video file. And hit enter. Okay, so the big thing is, let's go check the registry for the current user and see if that worked. Looks like it worked. So that is a really slick function of Master Packager. So let's come back and we'll test a current user file next. Okay, we're back. uninstalled the MSI, and we can now copy a file or create a file, which I already have one created, current user text. We can take this, call it test. Okay, so let's go back into files. So we want Master Packager to be able to copy this during the install. So it's not on a user's machine, so we need to create a folder to store this file. So underneath MSI test folder, I will create a new folder, call it config. And config is open, so let's just drag the CU text into that folder. And it's going to ask you, do you want to build now, build later? The cab inside the MSI, build now. Now we'll go back to custom actions. Click on custom actions, predefined. Now this is, let's widen it up so we can make sure we don't miss it. Copy to user profile. So this should copy to all user profile. What it will also do is copy to the default user profile, and a new user will get the file added to their current user file system. So copy to user folder. So let's click, that's the source. So it's looking for the source. MSI folder, so it's in config. We choose it, hit OK. And now you can do a subfolder. So let's call it MSI test CU. Oop. No backslash on that one. Overwrite is fine. And that should be easy enough. And again, if you want to actually see more settings, just go back to custom actions and pick the one that doesn't say DLL, copy to user profile. Then you can actually change this later. If you had an error, for example, you can change it to asynchronous. Everything else is set fine. I'm going to leave it as synchronous. Let's go to File, Save. Now, let's go back to our command window that's set up to run as system. And we'll actually hit enter again, let it install. Okay, so let's go look at my current user. App data, we put it in roaming, and we put it in MSI test CU, and there is my text file. So let's also go look at default. App data, roaming, there it is. So each new user will get that setting. And if there were 5 other users that already logged onto the machine, Master Packager would have copied it the same spot to each of the users. And so the biggest thing that you want to test again is install and uninstall. So look at anytime you test an install, check an uninstall. Predefined, you can see here, and I've used it. Remove HKey current user registries from all users. I've used that. Delete from user profile. I've used that and it works great. So you can touch them if you want. If you want to keep the system really clean, that's a great thing to do. So I think that's good. You test the uninstall, So that's it. The next step is to take it to another machine, test again, and use it in your deployment system, and then going from there. So hopefully you've learned a few tips from what I've been doing here, showing you things about Master Packager that I like, and I would actually just experiment with the custom actions. I've had a few issues with custom actions in the past, and again, it's been basically trying to actually figure out, okay, what is it? It was this synchronous wait for exit code. It was just stopping the package, and once I changed it to asynchronous, it still worked, but it didn't stop the package and cause an error. So I think it was Notepad++.